across the Potomac River, for example. That's home to a lot of helicopters. I don't know that that's where this helicopter came from, but
This is Channel 1 Atlanta, Channel 1 America breaking news. We have this that's coming into Channel 1 America tonight. Unfortunately, we have reports that a passenger plane, an American Airlines plane, has crashed into the Potomac River after colliding with a Black Hawk helicopter after trying to take off at Reagan Airport near Washington, D.C. Now, we've just learned that 64 people were on board this plane that crashed with a military helicopter. Again, the plane collided with Black Hawk helicopter about 9:30 this evening, Eastern Time, and crashed into the Potomac River. It was just, we were seeing the pictures of the actual takeoff from EarthCam, and it actually took off. It was just barely coming up off the runway, and when it did, the Black Hawk helicopter was there, and it unfortunately crashed into it. Again, this is just happening, so we have not too many details after this. Of course, no word on any injuries or fatalities. We do know the plane is in the water. There's a massive search and rescue underway right now in that Potomac River in Washington, D.C., near Reagan Airport. We're going to get the very latest now as we go to one of our most reliable sources, Fox D.C. in Washington, D.C. This is Fox 5 in D.C. for the very latest.
Black Hawk helicopter.
Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, says that she's been debriefed as well. And Pete Hegseth also has said that they are there ready to assist, ready to help in any way that they can.
All right. So at this hour, again, as we wait to get more information on what happened, we do not have any confirmation on how many people were on board that plane. As mentioned, those rescue boats, at least was at Gravelly Point. They were in and they were out very quickly. They relocated. But there's the information we're getting from the FAA. It was a Sikorsky H-60 helicopter while on approach to runway 33. And when you look at the flight plan out there, and when we just talked with Captain Richard Levy, of Aviation Expert Consulting, the question is, was it on course? Was it slightly off course? But it stayed within the corridor of the Potomac. It wasn't as though there was a big misstep there. I'm going to ask once again if we can see our main screen here in studio, because it's a bit obscured from where we're sitting here at the anchor desk. But as you look at the vantage point there, we were talking before. There's the collision, but from the other vantage point, just to speak to the volume of planes that come in and out, you saw another plane right there on top, just taking off at that moment, well above. I mean, that was nowhere near the crash site, maybe vertically, but certainly not within close proximity.
You also noticed the different speeds, which the captain mentioned that to us. And it's hard at this point to tell which aircraft perhaps maybe chose or missed the right runway.
Right.
So, and like he said, I was surprised to hear from him that he thinks it won't take long for them to to be able to really put a finger on perhaps where that miscommunication or where the misjudgment happened once they're able not only to get the black box but the cockpit, voice recorders to find out what kind of chatter, what was going on.
All right. So inside,
yeah.
Yeah, they're going to do that briefing inside a little bit later, but we want to go to Sierra Fox. She's now inside the airport terminal, and as mentioned, they stopped the flights going in and out. And Sierra, it is empty behind you at this hour.
Ominous feel. I mean, look, it's completely empty. There's no one behind the computers there, no one waiting in line, no one grabbing their luggage or anything. It is completely empty. I can even hear myself have an echo in here because there's barely anyone. We've seen the occasional law enforcement agencies running back and forth. Obviously, there is a sense of urgency due to that mid-air collision that happened around 9 p.m. And if you look at the boards over here, soon it will change. But right now it says emergency alert due to an emergency situation. All flights are being held on the airfield. Additional information will be available as received for customers on departing flights. Please check with your airline representative. But it's definitely such a scary feel in here. We have seen a few people waiting and walking around like this gentleman right here, but I do want to introduce you to Debbie here, who I was just speaking with. And when I told you what happened, what went through your head?
I am completely in shock about this. I mean, this is horrible. I'm at the airport and these people apparently crashed with a Black Hawk. And there's 60 people on board the plane, and they're in the Potomac, and they're going now with emergency crew to find out what the circumstances are. They don't know if there's casualties or what's happening, but of course it's upsetting.
Absolutely. And what flight are you waiting for? Or did you just land? What's your situation here?
I'm here early. I'm going to Midway Airport tomorrow, Chicago, for doctor's appointments, and I wound up checking out of my hotel early, and I'm leaving very, very early in the morning. I have a tendency to sleep late, so I didn't want to miss my flight. But you know something? I can't believe that this is happening. The whole airport is shut down. Is that correct?
Yes, no flights are leaving or coming in. And now, you know, what's your plan with all of this going on?
I don't know. I absolutely don't know. I don't know if the flights are delayed and they'll be rescheduled for later tomorrow, or what they're going to wind up doing. I have no idea.
And now, how often do you fly?
Well, I've had my cardiology team is in Chicago, and I've been back and forth to Chicago on a monthly basis, flying with Southwest successfully. They do a wonderful job. I really like the airline, and that's what I was planning on doing very early tomorrow morning, and now I just don't know.
And obviously right now we don't know, you know, how many survivors there may or may not be, but just, you know, what goes through your head knowing that, you know, there's family members out there wondering what's happening with their loved ones?
We have so much going on in this country right now with transition, and you know, I have been at the airport. I was here for the inauguration, and I, you know, came to the airport, and I saw the president's plane fly in and out of here. I saw, I think it may have been Jeff Bezos and Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, so this is like, they just left like the other day after being here for the inauguration. You could tell.
Well, Debbie, thank you for speaking with me. They're telling me that I have to send it back into the studio right now. And of course, when a briefing does happen here at Reagan National Airport, we'll bring it live to you right here on air.
You know, at this hour, the information we're getting, again, from authorities is few and far between. Most of it is just thoughts and prayers from the likes of Mayor Muriel Bowser and many other lawmakers at this point. But we're still waiting to get concrete information on what happened.
Yeah, until we have that information and the details and the facts, it's hard. It's hard to even put into words how people are feeling right now. I know that as I look at, I'm getting text messages from people who are from Wichita, who are friends of mine. I fly that path often. I know it very well. It is just utter shock.
Yeah.
People are lost for words. what do you do at a time like this if you can't be there on the ground to help out in a situation like this? We do know that we are awaiting that briefing, but I know you mentioned, Jim, Senator Ted Cruz talked about monitoring the situation at DCA and how they will be briefed tomorrow morning. That is what they've been told, is that they are going to be given the very latest information from the FAA themselves. And but hopefully we're hoping that we will be able to get more information tonight, including any word of any survivors and people that have been rescued.
In terms of when we were talking with our aviation expert and talking about how rare these incidents are in our nation, it looks like we've had a number of crashes involving sightseeing planes. There were some. We've had a couple incidents where 1 or 2 passengers were killed. We've not had a large-scale crash on really any runways in some time. I think the deadliest incident we've seen that I can think of in recent years was back in. Gosh, it was a while back. It was in Buffalo. It was outside of Buffalo, New York.
There was one in Buffalo, and I thought there was one in North Carolina as well.
50, it was, by the way, February 12th, 2009. 50 people killed. Colgan Air Flight 3407 outside of Buffalo. That was from
North Carolina.
That was a Bombardier flight.
But I don't know.
All right, let's bring in Kenneth Moten. He's here in studio now, just miking up and getting ready to go.
No, I've been listening to you guys' conversation because it is stunning when you think about the safety record at DCA and you think about the air travel in this country. It remains mostly safe, and we have to really search for incidents where we've had incidents of death, of these fatalities, or anything large scale like this one. When it comes to DCA, guys, we are trying to just learn as much information as possible. That's why I've got FlightAware up behind me here. I know it's been a resource for you guys as well, as we've been trying to learn as much as possible about Flight 5342 from Wichita, which departed at 5:39 from Central Standard Time from Wichita Airport. 6:39 our time. It was supposed to land here around the 9 o'clock hour, just before 9 p.m. But you see this flight path right here behind me. We zoom in and we can see moving up the Potomac, and it's very eerie of where it stops here, close to DCA, into the Potomac there. That is a very normal flight path that we see for our regional jets here. And Jim?
Just getting information from Fox News, we're hearing that 3 soldiers were on board that Black Hawk helicopter. So we're confirming that. But again, no word on their condition. But that's just the information coming in. I just wanted to make sure we got that information out there.
And again, we've been telling people, as soon as we know, we will let you know as well. But that is the word that Jim just relayed to us. 3 service members on that Black Hawk helicopter. Again, we're still trying to find out exactly how many passengers and crew were on Flight 5342. Again, American Airlines, operated by PSA. Just because it has 70 seats obviously doesn't mean there were 70 passengers on that plane, but we're working to find out, when departing from Wichita, how many people, how many souls were on that flight as the rescue operation, the massive rescue operation of the Potomac, continues right now. As you take a look at that live scene happening, we still are taking a look at FlightAware, trying to learn as much information as possible. As we zoom out, I want to take you. Let's zoom all the way out, guys. Zoom all the way out. You see this flight path here, everything moving smoothly, going back east here on a flight that, when we look at the flight path, when we look at the flight record here as well, this is a flight that this has been done numerous times here. And when it goes into DCA, you heard Jim and Angie talking about DCA. It is the nation's busiest airports and runways when it comes to the size of it and the fact that it is in the nation's capital. And we see about 800 flights in and out of DCA every single day. You do the math on that. Every minute you're seeing flights landing, taking off. And really, there can be no room for error. And so when we talk about the safety record, it is stunning that it has been decades since we have seen a plane crash or something to this magnitude. We talk about Air Florida Flight 90 there, 43 years ago, where that incident happened. And now it appears that we have a very, very unfortunate, catastrophic situation here with this Flight 5342. Again, as we try to learn more about this flight and we look into the safety records here, we know this is a very busy airport, this national airport here. This regional jet This is a regional jet. The size of it is something that is normal for this airport. The air traffic is normal as well. But this incident happening where you have a helicopter, military helicopter, apparently colliding with this aircraft is something that we have not seen before here, especially ending the way that it has. But as we look at this flight aware here and we try to learn more and glean more from what we're seeing here on this map, we're looking more into the records, we're looking more into the safety records of this aircraft as well. And as we wait for the officials there here on the ground to give us more information, we will bring that to you guys as well. But that is what we're watching right now, guys, but we're just waiting for more information.
Hey, I want to point out, we're just getting information now from Metro. GM Randy Clark just sharing tonight that WMATA is going to run extra Silver Line trains. They're going to keep the Silver Line open to get people in from the Dulles area as well, you know, trying to facilitate people who might be stranded tonight. They're also sending buses down to warm up a lot of those first responders because, as mentioned, you know, the air is 46 degrees at this hour, but we're still dealing with some very cold water situations as those first responders tend to the rescue efforts. Yeah, and let's see here. We don't have a timetable as far as this is all inbound flights being held at their origin until 5 a.m. But we think that it's probably going to go longer than that. I mean, obviously,
we can't say.
Yeah,
but right now, you just have to stay on top of it. But in the meantime, you know, some people will stay there at the airport, and others will still need to try to find a way out. And as you can imagine, with the situation like this and with so many people and so many different groups there responding, and it's going to be like this all night, getting in and out of it there's just no complete guarantee what time that can happen for you or your loved one. So, but we do have Sierra Fox in there. She's in the terminal, and so that'll be good. She can keep us posted on any new developments, and we can bring that information to you too, because we know there's still a lot of questions. Plenty of them at this hour. Not just questions that we're asking, but questions that people who are flying or people who have loved ones in the skies. People certainly try to keep tabs on. Just take a quick breather here because again, this is a catastrophic situation that's unfolded in our backyard, and our neighbors and our friends and maybe family are either helping assist this situation. We certainly hope that you're not directly impacted by it, but if you are, we're going to do what we can to bring you the most responsible information on this, because this is about as stunning to those of us as it is to you. And the live pictures, these are both live from what I believe. I know we've been showing you a bunch of different cameras, but everything you're seeing on the camera right now is just two different vantage points of this huge response, this enormous response. All of our local agencies working together, very heavily concentrated here in this one area. At first, they were at Gravelly Point, as we saw about an hour ago, before then abruptly just picking up and taking off. And I hear we are going to Mike now. Mike, are you standing by? Mike.
Guys, this is terrible. I mean, absolutely awful. And all we can do is hope at this point, right, that we get some news on some survivors. Of course, rescue crews for sure doing their best. Obviously, I'm not an aircraft expert. What I am is a weather expert, and I can give you sort of the weather around the time that this crash happened in Washington. Winds were pretty standard. They were a little gusty out of the west-northwest, 15 to 20, maximum gusts, 26 miles per hour, right around 9 o'clock in the evening. Visibility was fine, 10 mile, perfectly clear in all directions, and clear skies reported as well. No cloud cover in the region. So weather probably not going to be a factor. Unfortunately, likely a factor once the plane made contact with the water. Air temperature, D.C. right now, 47 degrees. Unfortunately, that's not the case with the water temperature. Water temperatures in the bay are in the 30s, and we do actually have a buoy not too far from Reagan National Airport, located just about here, which is reading water temperatures of about 35 1.4 degrees. Unfortunately, if you look at data from the National Weather Service, they say that you can be in water for about 10 to 15 minutes before you start to lose consciousness when water temperatures is that cold, and survival rates after an hour go down pretty fast if they're left in the water. So that's why the response was so key, getting boats in the water as soon as possible to see if they could get anyone they were able to find out of the water. This is Reagan National Airport, of course, right here. That camera shot we've been showing you with the video that streamed the crash there. That camera is located just off to the north and to the west of the Lincoln Memorial. So that camera angle is kind of looking down. It doesn't look directly at the airport. It kind of follows the river down. The flight track was coming in, of course, towards Reagan National Airport. And if I go in really closely, I went through the airport map to figure out which airplane. They confirmed that it was trying to land on runway 33, the runway 33 approach, as we show you that video I'm talking about. I'll go back one map real quick here and show you. That's the angle. The camera's kind of looking in that direction, and it zoomed in on this area as that crash happened. So again, that plane, what they have confirmed, it was taking the runway 33 approach, which is this shorter runway right there, because it's not one of the major commuter aircrafts. Again, as Jim mentioned, one of those sort of regional airlines that carries anywhere between 65 to 75 people if it's completely full. Again, we don't have final numbers into the room just yet. Again, guys, the best I can do is tell you that weather probably not a factor in this. I think I would have to bow to the aircraft expert from earlier who mentioned probably going to be some sort of communication issues, but of course we'll await on any official word as I send it back into you at the news desk there.
Mike, thank you. Looking at some news from the Associated Press as they continue to track this just as we are. They are citing audio from the air traffic control tower around the time of the crash. A controller heard asking the helicopter, PAT-25, do you have the CRJ in sight, referring to the passenger aircraft. Tower, did you see that? Another pilot is heard calling seconds after the apparent collision. And then at that point, the tower started diverting other aircraft away from Reagan National Airport. As mentioned, all inbound flights are being held now to at least 5 a.m., which means at this hour, and what I want to do is just as we, I'm going to try to take a look and see where some of these planes are coming in from, because there aren't many at this hour, but there are still some. Coast Guard is now being deployed. Every available resource being deployed by way of Homeland Security Kristi Noem to respond to this plane crash. So this is the first test of a very new and very nascent administration. But you know, unfortunately, we have been through these situations before. It's just that we haven't had one of these to contend with in a long time. As mentioned before, Kenneth pointed this out. It is a very crowded airspace. And this has been something that has been the bone of contention for many lawmakers. If you recall, fairly recently, it was Congress cleared the addition of more flights. Now, we can tell you that it's very unlikely that there's a direct correlation, but when there were the concerns about the additional air traffic moving in through that area, that was something that certainly came up in situations like this, where you have military activity very close. You have military aircraft flying through, working with government officials. We are told, again, the helicopter involved, that Black Hawk, had 3 soldiers on board. Reports are out that there were no VIPs on board that, as there often can be.
Yeah, and this is just in also, we know that Maryland Governor Wes Moore, he has put out on X that the Department of Emergency Management in Maryland, which of course is part of the DMV here, has raised its Emergency Operations Center to enhanced status in support of this. He's closely monitoring updates and says that the state of Maryland, local authorities, they are all engaged in this response. Obviously, we see a big presence from D.C. emergency responders, and we saw Northern Virginia there as well.
And we saw that early on with Fairfax County getting involved in the process as well, but they've been deployed. I mean, it's a very fluid situation at this hour, but again, we are following this. DCA, again, closed until at least 5 a.m. tomorrow. You are watching continuous live coverage of a tragedy in the skies over Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia. It is 11 o'clock. You're watching Fox 5. Jim Lokay alongside Angie Goff and Kenneth Moten as we track this breaking news. And for those of you just tuning in at this hour, we can confirm American American Airlines Flight 5342 with nonstop service from Wichita to Reagan National Airport collided with a military helicopter upon landing just before 9 o'clock this evening. The collision happening in the Potomac. The response was swift, but at this hour, unfortunately, we cannot tell you if anybody survived the crash. We don't have any idea how many people were on board that plane. However, those planes are generally configured to carry about 70 people. This is video from EarthCam that we've been showing you all evening long, the moment of impact, and you can see it right there, right at the center of your screen there, as another plane takes off right above it.
Yeah, so there you go. Not the one on the right, but down towards the middle of your screen.
Yeah.
There you go. You can see it right there. Also, we mentioned that President Trump was briefed on the situation, and he has now since released a statement about what he says, quote, is a terrible accident that just took place at Reagan National Airport. May God bless their souls.
If you're just joining us, it's 11 o'clock on the East Coast. I'm David Dutton in the Channel One America Command Center. We're bringing you breaking news at this hour as a American Airlines passenger jetliner has crashed with a Black Hawk military helicopter tonight. It crashed, collided, and crashed into the Potomac River, which is right there at Reagan National Airport in Washington, D.C. Now, CBS News is reporting that 60 passengers and 4 crew members were on board the jetliner when it crashed, and ABC News is reporting that 3 people were on board that Black Hawk military helicopter when it crashed along with the plane into the river. Now, a massive emergency response is underway at this hour. This happened just after 9 o'clock Eastern time tonight, about 2 hours ago. And a massive response is underway right now in the river to recover the people that were in these aircraft. Now, we have a lot of unconfirmed reports out there. We don't dare share those. We want to give you the facts as best that we know them as it's happening right now. And again, this is breaking news, so even maybe some things that we report to you early on may change later. Like the initial report was it was a small plane that had crashed. Then we had reports of it being a possible police helicopter in D.C. None of those panned out. But what we do know right now is an American Airlines passenger jetliner with 64 people on board has crashed tonight after it collided with a military Black Hawk helicopter and it crashed into the Potomac River. All of the passengers near Reagan and D.C. So we're going to take you back live right now to our affiliate Fox 5 in D.C. for the very latest on what's going on there now live.
And that runway is used often, but it's not used all the time. And how
in the way of the emergency officials. And Jim, you had actually mentioned around 10 minutes ago about WMATA buses. They are also here, 3 of them, to help the emergency responders because it is very cold out here, and some of them can go to the buses to warm up. But meanwhile, that search and rescue effort is undergoing, and there are more and more people who are coming near Gravelly Point. They actually can't come in here, but they're parking on the George Washington Parkway. You have spectators who are trying to take all this in as they take photos and pictures, but also you have people who are just curious, trying to figure out what exactly is happening. We don't want to speculate on any casualties or anything of that such until we hear from that news conference. But as of right now, there is a search and rescue underway. And as you can see, the flashing lights over there by Reagan National Airport. Back to you.
Mari, thank you. And let me just point out again, and we mentioned this before, and as he said, people were showing up, curious onlookers. Look, let's call this what it is. This is a tragic situation. You could see the rescue effort underway. There are so many people who went to work today, didn't expect their night to end like this, or maybe their night's just beginning on the rescue effort. We're asking you, we've not been told to tell you this, but I think common sense prevails. Steer clear of that area, because at this hour, there's going to be countless numbers of emergency vehicles going in and out. We will keep you apprised of what we learn. I think that's the most important thing. I can understand the curiosity. Yeah.
You know, with this literally being in your backyard, right?
Oh, absolutely. Right.
And Gravelly Point being the place that everybody goes just to watch the planes come in and out. So, you know, I know a lot of engagements that happen there. I mean, that's a happy place, but tonight is not the night. And like we said, you know, staying with Fox 5 and staying with us and our team, we have our field of reporters that are going to be out there, our crews, and we are bringing you literally. We're linked up in our ear. People are talking to us as we're talking to you. We're looking up things. We're getting confirmation. We want to make sure that the information we pass along to you is correct. Again, we are not in the business of sitting here to speculate to do a guessing game of what went wrong. We want to give you the information that matters right now, and the information that can impact you on a more immediate scale. So.
And I keep looking down to see what new information we might have coming in. There's really not a whole lot at this point. Hey, look, here's what I want to do at this point. So we had Kenneth over at the board a few moments ago. I'm wondering, can we bring Kenneth back into this here? Because on the right side of the screen, you're looking at FlightAware, and Kenneth has been looking at the landing path, or the flight path over here. And we also get some information about where these planes are coming from. But let's go back. You were talking just about 20 minutes ago about what you were seeing from there. Let's give the people at home what you were seeing in your analysis.
Yeah, anybody can go to FlightAware.com. We use it as a resource here on many days when we're looking at when there's weather, there's severe weather, snowstorms, how many flights are impacted, where flights are coming from. You might even use it for a loved one if you are trying to find out more about their flight information and get real-time information about when are they going to land at one of our DMV airports. And so we went to FlightAware, and you can see this flight path. And the first thing we saw before we started seeing some of these incredible images that we see there on the Potomac of this rescue operation that's happening live, we saw this right here. We saw the flight path, a flight path that is very typical for any regional jet that's coming into DCA, which again, one of the busiest airports in this nation that sees anywhere from 600 to 800 flights taking off, landing, again, daily. So you do the math on that, and you can figure out just by minute how many planes are taking off and landing. If you even just ride by Reagan National, or you're on your way to pick up a family member, you see planes coming and going there. People, again, setting up just to see planes taking off from DCA. So we take a look at this flight path here, and we see the flight.
So, and I want to go back to those things that we were saying about in terms of the early speculation. Sizable social media following. I just caution, please. Let's hear what happened, because there are 60 passengers, 4 crew members, and 3 soldiers tonight who either went up or coming back to DC. Maybe they were visiting. The soldiers were just doing their duty, and tonight, they not just their lives are forever changed, but the lives of family and friends. We're talking about human lives here, so we will get you the information as it comes in. I ask you to trust us on this, please. Thank you.
Now we want to bring in Mike Thomas. Mike, I believe you're standing by there. I was talking a little bit about the weather when we were speaking with